What's going on, folks? Nate here at DynoWorks, and what I've got here on the dyno behind me is my personal 2023 ZX10R. This thing is fresh out of the crate from our friends over at Bellevue Motorsports. Shout out to Brett, Mike, and Cole. Those guys are awesome. And because it's fresh out of the crate, it has 0 miles on it. Actually, it didn't even have gas in it when we rolled it out of the trailer into the dyno room, which is hilarious. Actually, exactly how I like to get these bikes. Every single time I get a Super Sport for the coming season, it is essentially this way. Straight out of the crate, no miles, and the break-in process happens immediately on our dyno, so we can perfectly monitor and vary load, throttle, engine speed. We've covered this process many times, but it is essential to guaranteeing longevity and maximum performance out of these engines. So most people probably want to know why the hell I bought a Kawasaki. Just had a 2021 BMW S1000 for last season. Before that, we had a 2018 R1. Both were shop bikes that we built here. And now we're on to a ZX10. We are super fortunate here at DynoWorks to essentially have access to whatever super sport or super bike model we want from our local dealerships. And I honestly believe that the Kawasaki in what we call stock 1000 trims, essentially stock engine, your full suite of bolt-ons, suspension upgrades, etc., is actually the bike to have. So here's the deal. The 21 S1000 was a bike that I rode the last season and a half or so, and it was a fantastic machine. 202 horsepower, like almost 90 foot-pounds of torque to the tire. It was a fucking rocket ship. The chassis was annoying, and the thing buzzed like crazy. The BMWs are known to be buzzy, and honestly, it's fatiguing when you're on the bike. It is not amazing to go do 30 minutes straight on the track. You come off the thing kind of feeling like you just went 5 rounds of Tyson. The R1 that I had before that was a 2018 R1 that we built here at the shop, and the chassis is amazing. Handled great. It was nice and smooth once we were done tuning it. The brakes were fucking fantastic with the Brembos that we had in place. But the R1's a little slow in stock 1000 configuration, and one of my kind of mental personal requirements was 200 horsepower. Well, these cows will fucking do it. But so will the Ducati V4. And so will the Honda CBR 1000 R. So why didn't I get those? The Ducati V4 is dumb fuck you money. There is no other way to put it. It is stupid expensive. However, it is an amazing machine when they're properly tuned and dialed in. I've tuned about a dozen of them now here on this very dyno. They make like 205 horsepower and 90 foot-pounds of torque when we're done. But they're a nightmare to work on. The cost of everything is insane. And while I have a pretty good hookup on most bikes in the industry, even a Ducati is just way too rich for any club racer's budget. I think I know literally one guy that is at the club racing level racing a Ducati. And, well, you can look at Moto America and see how many V4s you see in the paddock. Here's a hint. It's just one. And then the Honda. Well, yeah, it does 200 horsepower to the tire with proper tuning. We've seen it a couple times, actually. And it makes a little bit less power on the way there to peak 200 horsepower than the BMW, which will make it a little bit easier to handle on the track. The Honda chassis is amazing. But again, CBR 1000 RRR SP money is pretty tough to swallow. And even if we wanted to swallow it, which I could have, I couldn't really find one. The last bike I eliminated just kind of right off the bat was the Gixxer 1000. That platform's old and hasn't been updated in a while. They have not changed the Gixxer 1000 or the 1000R since 2017. Getting a little long in the tooth, a little low on power. Chassis is good, brakes are good, but again, I wanted 200 horsepower. That's kind of the modern benchmark now, so the Gixxer's not something I'm interested in. So that left good old mean Team Green, and you know what? I have actually had every flagship Kawasaki since the ZX12R. I had a ZX12R, I had a ZX14. Nels and I had matching ZX14s at one point. I've had the 5th gen ZX10, and now I've got the 6th gen. And honestly, most of that is when it comes down to dollars per horsepower and dollars for fun, which is kind of what we're all about here at DynoWorks. This is it. This bike was $17,400 plus tax, title, license, blah, blah, blah. So just assume the bike's going to cost you 20 grand with a slip-on exhaust system, some velocity stacks, and an air filter and our tuning. We'll be at or slightly over 200 horsepower to the tire, and that's just getting started. If you've seen any of my personal builds at the shop over the last few years, you will know that I don't really half-ass anything once I dive into it. So we are going to start from the front and work our way to the back once we get the basics done on this bike. We're going to upgrade brakes, we're going to upgrade suspension, we're going to upgrade the clip-ons, the steering damper, the brake master cylinder, the rear sets. We're going to go ahead and upgrade the frickin' windscreen because I'm a goddamn orangutan at 6'9" and I can't fit under that. We're obviously going to upgrade the exhaust. We'll start with a slip-on and get you guys essentially just a before and after from stock to slip-on, and we'll also go ahead and get a full system to get that ugly-ass cat out of there. This fucking thing's gonna go away really fast, and these reflectors on the front and back are literally the first thing I ever take off any motorcycle ever. We're also gonna replace the stock chain sprockets. Hell, I'm even gonna replace the wheels because these 3 spokes just kind of don't look the part, unfortunately. We're even replacing, well, covering technically the tank with a tank shroud, because again, I'm stupidly tall, and gripping the stock tank is not fun when you're my height. And there's dozens of other little parts that we're going to upgrade along the way. And we're going to cover all that for you guys here, actually, on our YouTube channel, and break it down. We're going to start with the bone stock bike, after I'm going to go ahead and finish the break-in on the dyno later this evening, and then we're going to turn it into a badass 200 horsepower street machine first, a track weapon second, and a full-fledged race bike third. This is the sort of stuff we actually do here every single day at Two Wheel DynoWorks, but we just never have the time to document it. And I figured I might as well document it for once for you folks after hours here while I do it on my own bike. So stay tuned to our YouTube channel. If you haven't, please give us a like, subscribe. It obviously helps us out. And we will be releasing a video once a week on the ZX10 as we go through the build. And as I go through it, if you have any questions, give us a call, shoot us an email, support@twowheeldynworks.com. Always happy to help.